What is morally right but legally wrong? Stealing your stuff back from the people who stole it? Giving away food at the end of the night that will otherwise be thrown in the trash. Someone replied, some places are really dicks about this too. Example, I used to work as a part-time janitor at a local civic center. We had a water park during the day and I came in an hour before closing. We only worked 4 hours a day and most of us who worked there were pretty poor, but job opportunities were hard to come by at the time. There was a concession stand at the water park for serving to guests, and every day after closing, there would be several trays full of fresh made food. Burgers, hot dogs, chicken strips, etc. For about a week we would all share and wrap up the food to take home. Nope. The next week we were told we had to dump it all in the garbage or we get fired. What a waste. My country, you have to stay with a person you pepper sprayed. Is that a word? So for instance, if someone attacks you on your way home and you use pepper spray to defend yourself, you are not allowed to run away. You have to call them an ambulance and stay with them until the ambulance arrives. Self-defense in some extent. Someone replied, yup, I knew a guy who was forced into a fight outside of a bar. When he retaliated with a few swings, his opponent fell back into the concrete and hit his head. The opponent died about 5 days later from the head wound. It took 3 years for the dude I knew to be tried and accused of manslaughter, but I've seen him at the bar a few times since that, so I'm guessing he was acquitted because self-defense. I think stealing food to save the life of a child would morally right but legally wrong. Someone replied, my grandma was a teacher during the Depression. She used her salary to buy food, so the kids would have one good meal per day. One day the food went missing. She asked the kids who had done it, and no one confessed. She told them until whoever did it told her there would be no more lunches. After school, one of the kids stayed behind. He told my grandma once they were alone, he had taken it. His toddler sibling was starving to death, and he stole it to feed him. My grandma had lunch for them again the next day, and every day after. She's the only person who I know is watching down on me right now. Heaven was made for people like her. Edit, thanks for the award, she deserves it. I also met 20 plus of her foster kids at her funeral, who I never knew about. I only knew about the 3 kids she had adopted. I asked my dad about it, and he said he never mentioned it because that was just their normal. Blowing the whistle on the illegal activities of your government a la Chelsea Manning and Edward Snowden. Helping a terminally ill loved one end their life. Someone replied, it's legal I think, but doctor must be included. Assisted suicide. Giving a deceased person's prescription medicine to someone who needs it but can't afford it. Putting money in someone else's expired parking meter. Giving away food that would be thrown away otherwise to people who need it. Morally, a great way to help those in need. Legally, problematic. Apparently. Someone replied, it's not illegal. Companies actually have legal protections if people get sick from food they donate, at least in the US. It's just easier and cheaper to toss it. Our system is broken. Isn't it illegal in America expose animal abuse, neglect etc on farms? Like, undercover footage and all that. I think it's called ag-gag laws or something. Edit, animal rights activists in the US have told the BBC that so-called ag-gag laws could be copied in other countries including the UK. The laws are designed to limit undercover investigations on factory farms by campaigning groups. Around a dozen states have passed or are proposing legislation banning these activities. When I see homeless people shoplift essential items from my supermarket, I just mind my damn business. Using psychedelics to treat depression / to become a better person. Taking a child away from abusive parents and you are not CPS. In this thread, dozens and dozens of people who are confused about morality and legality. Someone replied, and people who are confused that not everyone on Reddit lives in the same country as them with the same laws. Collecting rainwater. Someone replied, it's not so much an issue at the individual level, but the concern is that large farms in arid areas will affect the lakes, rivers, and the water table. Any sort of large-scale operation has the potential to be extremely disruptive to the people who depend on that water. Also, yeah, no. It's definitely not ethical in the slightest. There's good reason for this law. Handing out water to people in line waiting to vote in Georgia. I remember seeing an article about a man whose daughter went into a fast food chain bathroom, think it was McDonald's or something. But a man was going to sneak into the bathroom behind the man and presumably assault the daughter. But the father had caught the man and beat the life out of him. I believe the man is still alive, but the father is now in jail for 8 years. The assassination of a tyrant. Someone replied, but who defines what a tyrant is? To John Wilkes Booth, it was Lincoln, but most people would disagree. Abortion. Abortion sometimes only or best option. For instance, it may be needed for mother's health, even save her life, or might be needed after raping, or after unintended accidental pregnancy. If it's early yet, abortion is illegal in most of countries. Prostitution. Someone replied, why should prostitution be illegal? Selling is legal. Fucking is legal. Why isn't selling fucking legal? You know, why should it be illegal to sell something that's perfectly legal to give away? George Carlin. Someone else replied, because pimping is a real problem and many prostitutes are being coerced or forced into it, or are trying to make ends meet, because they can't find another job, or are in dire need of money. And please read https://orgs.point.lib/2014/06/12/ Does legalized prostitution increase human trafficking as well? Essentially, legalized prostitution makes it better for prostitutes, safer, not illegal, etc., and even worse for those forced into it, trafficked, and increases human trafficking and flows. What needs to happen, is decriminalization of it, not necessarily the legalization of it. Give prostitutes safety, not only from potential abusers, but also STDs. It could ensure clients and the prostitutes themselves are tested and using protection. It's not a simple problem, it's incredibly complex. Free medicine for people who need it. Leaving homeless folks alone when you find them camped somewhere. I found a homeless dude in one of the sheds at the store I worked at during the rainy season, and he was immediately apologetic. I told him, as long as he cleaned up after himself he could wait out the storm there, even if my boss wants me to chase them out. Life is hard enough, and my mama didn't raise no bootlicking bitch. Humanity comes before capital. Kill your attacker as a self-defense. He is entering your property and wants to rape you, steal from you, or even worse. Sadly, in my country I will do a sentence for protecting me. Sad. Mercy killing. Hear me out. They are suffering from a severe wound/infection and you kill them, so they no longer feel the pain. You will get arrested for homicide and or manslaughter. If you witness a police officer that has a civilian pinned down with his knee on the civilian's neck while the civilian cries out that they can't breathe, morally right to get the police officer off to prevent the death of a civilian. Legally wrong, as you will get arrested for assaulting an officer. Someone replied, and will get your ass beat to oblivion, not just arrested. You'll be marked for life for doing the right thing. Someone else replied, yep. Know many cases of people harassed by Leos for trying to challenge the many issues law enforcement has in general. Hell, reminds me of a time a politician was simply announcing that a law that would hold cops responsible for their actions passed, or something similar. The entire police department showed up and literally circled around her. And that's them playing nice. If you do piss off cops enough, enjoy being harassed all the time. Enjoy getting pulled over anytime a cop recognizes your vehicle. Enjoy getting tickets every time you barely glide above the speed limit. enjoy having your phone number and address given out to other less than desirable people. While it's not something that happens to everyone, I've personally known a few instances where cops went out of their way to harass and ruin someone's life because they stood up against them. If you do have to stand up against the police for what is right, be very careful and realize that they can and sometimes will retaliate, making your daily life almost impossible to manage.